It's a challenging situation for local refiners who had been hoping to cash in on the liberalization of Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector after the government completely scrapped expensive petrol subsidy. Under the country's petroleum industry law, oil companies operating in Nigeria are supposed to prioritize crude supply to domestic refiners before exporting. But even with the law in place, domestic refiners say getting crude supply has been a big challenge.
The regulators, as they were at this point in time, have been very engaging. We've been having meetings, several meetings with them, but I just think they need to be a lot more, direct in their actions to speak into what the PIA said, so that the allowed crude that has been pegged down for domestic use gets to the refinery.
While Dangote Refinery has resorted to importing crude to make up for what it needs, many of the smaller modular refineries have remained more or less dormant, jeopardizing their investments. Industry players say the situation is seriously hampering further investments in new refinery development.
We're finding it very difficult to get investors to even commit to financing local refinery projects, because they wanted to be sure that they were going to have feedstock. Our members who have gone to look for financing, and there are quite a number of our members who are actually at advanced discussions with financiers, but cannot reach FID because they have not been able to provide acceptable term sheet for supply of crude.
Nigeria has been ramping up oil production lately. Authorities put January production at around 1.7 million barrels per day. The government is hoping to push that up to around 2 million barrels per day before the end of the year. But even after earmarking around 500,000 barrels for domestic production of petroleum products, meeting that quota is still a challenge.
There are two levels of intervention in terms of addressing the question of crude in Nigeria. The first is for those people who are building, and then for those who have built. For those people who have building, give them a bankable document assuring them access to crude oil upon completion of their refinery by way of a supply term sheet that is bankable. And for refineries that are operating and may want to scale up, you would give them an assured source of crude, either from the national reserves or you mandate a local producers to give.
Everyone agrees more needs to be done. Authorities are trying to address the problem. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has since directed oil companies to strictly adhere to the crude oil supply obligations for local refineries, warning that it would deny export permits for crude oil cargoes intended for domestic refining if oil companies fail to meet their local crude supply commitments. It remains to be seen if that directive will change the situation for domestic refiners and help the country attain energy self-sufficiency. Deji Bademasi, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.